Welcome to the very first episode of this brand new podcast, Mama's Birth Stories. I'm Stephanie Marino, and I am your host. At the time of this recording, I am 36 years old, and I'm just entering my second trimester at 14 weeks pregnant. This is my first baby, second pregnancy, but that's a story for another time. Where I want to begin is the story of where and how this podcast came to be. So I'm going to rewind us to I'm 21 years old. And my older sister, is pregnant with her third child. And I'm not going to share her story because I'm hoping that one day she can be on the podcast sharing her story. But I will say this. At the time, she was and still is an incredible source of inspiration to me at that very young age. And the reason being was because after having her first child cesarean, her second child VBAC, and her third child at home in a birthing pool, I remember that experience impacting me so profoundly at such a young age. And I remember witnessing her as she was going through this transformation and the level at which she was sharing her journey so generously and so vulnerably and so raw. And at the time, I remember feeling like it was such common sense to me. It just felt so true in my body, the path that she was on. And this birth of my nephew 15 years ago when I was 21 years old, I remember feeling deep in my bones without actually understanding it conceptually. My body knew, even though my mind hadn't really caught up yet. And I remember feeling how right and true it was and how much sense it made. And I say that with this caveat, I am not passing judgment, no shade on births done in any other way, because I believe every birth unfolds exactly the way that it's supposed to and the full perfection that it is meant to for both mama and baby. And I remember also how she was, like I said, sharing so generously about her experience and catching a lot of flack from it, from people in her real life and people online. And I remember not understanding why. There was a big disconnection for me there. I couldn't understand why something that was just so true, to give birth in your home, in a birthing pool, in the comfort of your own home, in the natural way that it was meant to occur, the way that animals in the wild give birth. And I couldn't understand why she was experiencing so much judgment for that. So now, witnessing her through that experience and through her transformation and all of that, that had a profound impact on me. And from that moment forward, I declared it for myself. I said, that's how I'm going to birth. I'm going to have my first baby at home in a birthing pool in the water. And I just went about my early 20s and into my early 30s. And anytime the topic of birth would come up, I would, without even thinking about it, say, yeah, I'm going to have my first baby at home in the water. Now, fast forward to current present day, I find out that I'm pregnant. And of course, that comes with a whole gamut of emotions. One of the emotions that I felt was fear, because I knew it was true for me, the birth path that I wanted to take. And I will also pause to say this. I know that you have a plan and then you give it up to God, because what is meant to unfold will unfold. No matter what plan you have, no matter how solid and confident and prepared and firm you are in your choices, the birth will unfold the way that it's meant to unfold for the transformation that is meant for your soul and for baby to have. Now, with that being said, I feel really clear in my choice to give birth in the comfort of my own home. And so a ton of fear now arises at the onset of my pregnancy. Every single fear, every single what if in the book you can think, I had. So what I did is what I know what to do with fear is I saw it through. So I took every single fear and I dissected it. And I said, okay, well, if this happens, what then happens? And then what happens, right? So part of that process for me was a huge education around what is this whole process of pregnancy and preparing for childbirth and the transformation of childbirth and entering into motherhood and breastfeeding and all of these things. So now is when my mind needed to catch up with what my body has known all along. So I took to books and podcasts and doing a lot of research and watching birth videos on Instagram on various accounts, which I am so immensely grateful to these women and these accounts who share so generously, because I actually started watching birth videos, I would say about a year ago, because my husband and I knew that we were preparing, we wanted to have a baby. And so instinctively, I just started watching birth videos. And I will just say that watching these birth videos, it's so hard to put into words what it did for me, but it just connected me to this deep part of myself. It helped me remember what my body has known all along. It helped me reconnect to the incredible innate power of my body to be able to conceive and grow and carry a baby and then give birth to a baby. And those videos gave me so much confidence and so much trust and so much strength in myself. And it was invaluable. So as I said, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching videos, and the first book I picked up on this pregnancy journey, recommended to me by a friend, was Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. And the book is broken up into two parts. The first part is women's birth stories. And then the second part is the logistics of labor and childbirth and things that could go wrong that you want to kind of prepare for, right? Why the first part was so powerful in being able to read women's birth stories is because every story imaginable across the whole spectrum was in that first part of the book. So there were hospital births that ended up in C-sections and medical intervention. There were births that resulted in the death of the baby. There were at-home births in pools. There were at-home births where what the medical industrial complex would consider a complication or risk, breech babies, prolapse, shoulder dystocia, not breathing right away after coming through the birth canal, the whole gamut, the whole range. And reading those stories on top of having watched all of these birth videos for the last year or so, it was this compound effect that happened of profoundly reorganizing me from the inside out. So it's already naturally happening, right? Pregnancy is just, it's an incredibly transformative process. And I've only just begun, the path has only begun to initiate me. But reading these stories then sparked me to want to know more and want to connect with the women in my life. And so I started asking my family and my friends if they would be so generous and willing to share their birth stories with me. And something really incredible happened. Every single woman that I asked, without any hesitation, said yes. Absolutely, I would love to. And I was, quite honestly, so surprised by this. And I think the reason why I was so surprised is because I've known so many women who have gone through birth who have had a traumatic experience. And so what I've understood that to be is that it was a traumatic experience, and we don't want to broach the topic of peeling open a wound of trauma. But what actually happened was the complete opposite. Every single woman was as eager, the way I felt it, they were as eager to share their story as I was to want to know their story. And I felt this internal, energetic, kind of like magnetic, like turning on, clicking in feeling, sensation, where it felt like medicine both ways, right? It was medicine for me because I got to experience through witnessing another woman the incredible transformation that she went through in her childbirth. So it was medicine for me in being able to receive that gift. And it was medicine for her in being able to share her story. There's so much healing in that. There's so much healing in being able to share your experience in a way where you are being so fully received in, so fully witnessed in the sharing of your experience. And so I started seeing that there is something really big here. There's something really big here, and I'm just beginning to touch it. I'm just beginning to graze the surface of it. And I can feel how deep it goes. I can feel it. And my mind hasn't yet caught up, but I feel it in the depth of my body. And so one night, this is about a month ago, I'm laying in bed and I got woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it just dropped in. I saw, I felt, and I heard Mama's birth stories. I was already communicating with so many women, and I was already setting up so many phone calls and lunch dates and things like that to connect with women to hear their birth stories. And I figured it would be beautiful to have it recorded in this way where it can live on a platform where other women can also receive the medicine in this. So that's what this podcast is going to be about. I'm going to be interviewing and having really raw, unscripted, honest, vulnerable conversations with women about their experience of birth and the transformation that they have undergone, from maiden to motherhood, and this whole journey of pregnancy and childbirth and entering motherhood and the entire initiation that this is. So I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm really excited about what it feels like right now. It feels like I'm sitting on the edge of something that is such a gift. And I'm just excited for you to join us. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to just be on this whole process of pregnancy and this journey, because I know that there is so much healing to do in this space. There is a lot of rewiring and conditioning and ways in which we have the ability and the capacity and the potential to connect with ourselves and remember ourselves as the innately powerful beings that we are as women in our ability to give birth. And I think that the medical industrialized complex has done a really good job at stripping this knowing and this remembrance from women, in that majority of us are left feeling like pregnancy is something that just happens to us. It's a burden. It's something that we need to be treated for throughout the whole pregnancy. We need to see a doctor throughout the whole pregnancy, and a doctor needs to deliver our baby for us. And a majority of women, we have forgotten our fucking power. And it's time for us to take our power back. And again, I'm going to say there is no judgment whatsoever on any women who have gone the medical route. I've known so many women who have gone the medical obstetrician route. And like I said, it is all fucking perfect. What I'm going to do here is speak and share from where I am and my own lived experience. And I have not given birth yet, but I'm really excited to do so. And I feel really grateful for the opportunity to be able to connect more deeply with women in this way. So I hope that there is great medicine in this for you. I hope that you get a lot of value from this. And I will see you at the next episode.